defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. And looking across the world, yeah, I mean, stuff is crazy. I keep seeing headlines about terrorist attacks, this way and that way, people shooting up the workplace. These stories do not end. And then you have all this outrage from the left with, Trump pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which is a good move. Trump occasionally stumbles upon something he does the right thing. Now we won't really get into that on this episode. Maybe we'll do that in the future. I'm not sure yet. But looking at the political landscape and, now that we have a Republican president, the last Republican president obviously was George W. Bush. And, he was, president from 2001 to 2008? Well, now with a Republican in charge, are things really going to move more to the right? Are we really going to get a smaller government like these conservatives that always want us to believe that they are for a free market, that they want a small government? Well, time and time again, what we've seen so far, Trump's presidency has only just begun. Kind of like the Carpenters song. That's actually a really good song. But I don't see that as being the case. Look at when the Republicans' first attempt at trying to basically get rid of Obamacare and replace it with Trump care. It was just a small tweak to what Obamacare did. But remember the outrage from the right, the Republican Party, when Obamacare was passed. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. This is going to destroy the greatest healthcare system in the world. Well, now they just tweak the system and it's like, oh yeah, and this is going to make it amazing. All these politicians do, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, it's all politics. It's, they're not really doing things in necessarily what they believe, but it's to one-up their opponent. Like, see, they're bad, but hey, look at what we're doing. Look at what we're offering you. But they're both, their game is they're growing the size of government, which from longtime listeners of this show, what you guys get out of here is that I point out, look, they're both full of crap. That the true answer, the true cure to all of our economic problems and issues and all these issues that people talk about, and like Bernie Sanders, all the problems he pointed out during his campaign, the answer comes down to, and the solution is we need to shrink the size of government. It's like, oh yeah, you want to get money out of politics? Well, shrink the size of government. If it shouldn't matter whether Tom, Dick, or Harry's elected, but these sons of guns, I got this family show, because they influence every part of our life now, and it's disgusting. I hate it. I can't stand it. And so I stumbled across a piece here from Jared Bernstein, and this was in the New York Times. Now, Jared Bernstein, I've referred to him a few times on the show before. He was a former economic advisor to Joe Biden. And I really found this, it really kind of got me going as I'm reading the piece. And none of it actually surprises me what he's got in here. But it really, since he's a Keynesian economist, he's kind of pointing out, look, this is what the left, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to push forward so we can make sure our economic agenda can try to be pushed through when we're back in power again. Because obviously none of this is really going to get through under a Trump presidency, or as much as he wants it to. And so, I have several paragraphs I'm going to read from this thing. So let me just start off here, just so you guys get a flavor for it. And he says, I've noticed more and more centrist Democrats, along with establishment donors, who increasingly recognize the need, in both substantive economic and electoral terms, to get outside the old boxes and go bold. One of the boldest ideas coming down the pike is a universal child allowance, a monthly stipend for all families with children. International data show that child poverty in America remains at 20%, twice the rate in Germany and 7 times the rate of Denmark. These countries and most other advanced economies provide regular payments to families with children based on the recognition that investing in children is an essential public good. Yet here in the United States, though we have a patchwork of programs, the lowest income children often get no income support, while children in wealthy families benefit from generous tax deductions. Okay, so Jared here is making the case that, well, look, see, here in the United States, we have child poverty at 20%. You compare it to these other nations around the world who are, you could argue, a little more socialist than we are, and they don't have near the child poverty that we do. But also, I guess, how do you define poverty? Are you comparing it, the top X percent to this percent? And, I guess, how are you considering that? Because the last time I checked here in the United States, the poor here live a much better life than the average citizen around the world. Like when I went on the Contra cruise last year, I was going through the country of Honduras. There's a group of us. We rented a taxi for the day, going around that country, seeing poverty, seeing people live in these little huts with these little wood floors with holes in them where it's just dirt right below. Heck, when I was in Germany in 2013, as my brother and I were taking the train just outside of Frankfurt, because we're going to head up to Berlin. And actually, we ended up it was cheaper, so we took these local trains. So we had to take 5 different trains to get to Berlin. It's like a 5-hour train ride, and getting off at these local stops. Nobody spoke English. The only way we knew, to get off at the right spot, my brother he downloaded the Germany maps on his phone, and with his data off, he still had the little GPS dot, so we kind of see, okay, yep, we got to take this stop, Zurbrücken or whatever the heck it is, some name we can't really say, and then we got to hop from this stop, then we got to move over to this train and whatever. So it's really confusing, but we made it. But as we were riding along on that train, you just would see these little, I don't know what the heck you call them, I guess almost like little neighborhoods. And these houses were miniature. They were literally the size of probably someone's master bathroom. I'm really not kidding. They had a house that big. It had a little tiny fence that surrounded the house. They had their little tiny garden. I couldn't believe just how miniature all these things were. It's like it was a little hobbit town. And you just see these little villages or whatever the heck they were. We don't see stuff like that in the United States, or at least in general. I'm sure obviously there's poverty, but you compare it to anywhere else in the world, we in the United States aren't doing that bad. So I guess I'm not sure how he's exactly comparing that. And now, so Jared Bernstein here is arguing, okay, well, we need more money we need more money to help, people in the lowest income brackets, to help these children, because obviously, what he's saying, children, they're an essential public good. So what is he saying there too? So without the government, if we just had a free market like I want, there would really be no investment in children. That's what you're telling me, Jared Bernstein? Really? If anything, Jared, the most forward-looking out there is the private sector, not the government. The government is not this far-seeing, almost mythical being that's looking at way, way ahead. No, the government and these politicians only look as far ahead as their next election. So that's why we see time and time again politicians on both the left and the right kicking the can down the road. It's like, okay, well, if we kick the can down this far, I guess that'll at least get me, so I can at least get reelected. Then we can deal with the issue then. Then we'll get serious about it. Oh no, but that never happens. And that's why I've said on the show time and time again that it's going to take a massive economic crisis to come our way, because the politicians aren't serious about doing the reforms that actually need to take place. And just continue on with Jared Bernstein's saying here with this child allowance. That's what he says. A child allowance of $250 a month per child would cost about $190 billion a year. Though half of these costs could be offset by consolidating existing, less efficient policies, it would cut child poverty by 40% and deep child poverty by half, while providing middle-income families raising children with a baseline level of stable income. Okay, so here Jared Bernstein's already admitting that we already have a bunch of policies out there, anti-poverty programs that are ineffective, that are inefficient. So if we can just get rid of all these inefficient programs, let's make it with one that's more efficient. That's what these guys are always playing these games. That it's okay, yeah. So yeah, we screwed up there. So we just need this one instead of this one. I don't know. It's like musical chairs. They're always moving stuff around, tweaking things, but it's a way of advancing the ball down the court and always looking like you're for the little guy. But you screw the little guy all the way down the way. So here he thinks we'll be able to cut child poverty by 40% if we just subsidize him a little bit more. But from my check here and from what I've gathered from history, is that the more you subsidize something, the more of it you get. So if we subsidize child poverty more than we're doing now, should we get less of it or more of it? Well, I would guess probably more of it. In society, is the problem really, I guess we could really boil a lot of this stuff down to people's lack of personal responsibility. How are people able to get away being less responsible? Well, because Big Daddy government has stepped in to fill the void. So Jared Bernstein here, it's what all progressives seem to do, is that they look at symptoms of problems, and there's a lot of conservatives that do that do this too. And that's why libertarians, I think, we have the best solutions to a lot of these problems, because we're not looking just at the symptoms of problems, but looking at the core root of the problem. What is actually causing this problem? And from what I've gathered there, it comes down to a massive government spending money instead of the private sector, instead of individuals out there, because it's individuals out there that make things happen. And let's see, we just continue on here. And please forgive me here too. I kind of have a little bit of a stuffed up nose, a little hard to talk. Then we next paragraph. Next, even as we close in on full employment, there are parts of America where job growth and labor force participation are well below the national average. Historically, public policy tries to help such left behind areas through place-based tax credits, but their tax record is dismal. If we want to help places with too little labor demand, we must implement direct job creation policies, meaning either jobs created by the government or publicly subsidized private employment. Oh, there's another brilliant idea by the Keynesian economist Jared Bernstein. Yes, that we need to help places where there's too little labor demand, and we just need to have some direct job creation policies. So we got to provide more government jobs instead of like letting money in the private sector decide where more jobs should be created, because it's the private sector that has an economic incentive instead of a political one. No, Jared Bernstein's saying, no, we just got to let the government decide which jobs should be created, in which the government, they're this unbiased third party. They're going to decide which jobs actually should be created, even though they have a political motive instead of an economic one. So Jared Bernstein, again, as usual, is way the heck off to what would actually work. And then Jared Bernstein continues on here. While direct job creation will help achieve the necessary job quantity, we also must boost job quality. A strong idea is in that regard is an expansion of the earned income tax credit into the working class. The tax credit is both broadly popular and very successful. In 2015, it lifted 6.5 million people, including 3.3 million children, out of poverty. And just continuing on with the earned income tax credit, he says, a recent analysis asked, what would it take for the earned income tax credit to offset the damage done to low and moderate wage earners by the forces of inequality that have steered growth away from them in recent decades? The answer, $1 trillion expansion in the wage subsidy over the next decade. A family of four making $40,000 would get a tax credit of about $6,000 instead of its current benefit of about $2,000. Even in Washington, $1 trillion is real money. But I like the way one tax expert, Chuck Marr, put it. For less than 1/5 of the cost of the Trump tax plan, we could improve the lives of millions of working class people. Oh yeah, we could do that, but it's subsidizing the hell out of them. Let's just keep doing the wrong thing. Just keep throwing money at the problem. Yeah, that's always the right thing. What have we learned in these decades and decades of more and more government spending? Well, we keep getting poorer. I mean, even though that, we still have a little bit of capitalism, we're still getting improved products, but we would be so much more wealthy today if we actually had a government that just stayed the hell out of the way. And here, I only have just, 2 paragraphs left I want to read from Jared Bernstein's piece here. Remarkably, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25, though most states and many localities have their own higher version of it. Still, 21 states remain on the federal level, and the fight for $15 has been an important and successful movement by and on behalf of low-wage workers. One new estimate finds that 41 million workers would get a boost from this policy. More of them have college degrees than our teenagers. In other words, the devolution of low-wage work in America means that families often depend on a minimum wage earner. Some job displacement is possible given an ambitious increase like this. But a new proposal from congressional Democrats doesn't get to $15 until 2024, giving employees time to adjust. Okay, what he just said right here shows some of the madness over there on the left. Well, okay, there's a lot of madness out there. But look at this. He said, one new estimate finds that 41 million workers would get a boost from the policy. More of them have college degrees than our teenagers. So wait, why are people who have gone to college, which you always heard Bernie Sanders pushing for college, you hear all these liberal Democrats, college should be a right. Well, here we have a majority of these 41 million workers who are on the minimum wage, they have college degrees. So how worthless is a college degree? It's pretty damn worthless. But these politicians, everything sounds great. Oh my gosh, we can send Johnny and Susie to college. That'd be awesome. So they can earn minimum wage. This stuff, it just makes me sick. How they always just think, it does work though. Because a lot of people, oh my gosh, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, I do. My kids, I want them to have a chance at success. And if we want to increase their chances of success, we've got to send them to college. But for most people, college probably isn't the right move. College can be beneficial for some. Yes, that's true. But for most people, no. There's so much more you can learn on your own. And through all the free resources on the internet, you don't need to go to college. What are your interests? What are your passions? Go out there and pursue them. Figure out how to obtain different skills or how to become skillful enough where you can outcompete other people who are in that same field. Do you really have to go to college to be a journalist? Couldn't you just set up with your own camera, set up and start doing your own journalism and looking and researching your own own stories? Okay, how can you improve? How can you become a better speaker? Well, start speaking. They have the Toastmasters meetings. There's all sorts of ways you can improve those skills. And most people in general anyway, they have one of their largest fears is public speaking. So just to give just that one simple thing, if you want an edge over your average person out there, become a good public speaker. And from there, start improving on other skills. And the world, you just don't limit yourself. You can do anything you put your mind to. It's just going to take a lot of work, but you can do it. And I think most people sell themselves short, and they don't want to put in the effort and time it takes to truly become a master at something. But take that as your own advantage. Most people don't want to put in the effort, so you put in the effort and go out and do big things. And then I like how Jared Bernstein here ends his piece here, where he says, progressives will be playing defense for many years to come, but let's also make sure we're ready to roll with a true progressive agenda when our time comes. See, this is the progressive leftist mindset. These guys are always pushing. They're always pushing for their agenda. They have things that they want accomplished. Even when they're not in power, they are pushing. But see, we libertarians out there or conservatives who say you support a smaller government. You support a smaller government. You want a smaller government. You realize that's largely the solution to many of our problems. We always have to be pushing. Because The left, the progressives, they're always pushing in the opposite direction. They always want a larger government. They always think that the answer to any problem that we face is another government program. Oh, we just got to tweak this one, tweak that one. We just need another 1,000-page bill. Oh yeah, that'll fix it. No. So we always have to be pushing in the other direction. That's why we always have to be educating ourselves and improving our own skills and our ability to articulate our message so we can help influence people around us, influence our friends, our family. Because we need a larger army on our side. Because these people, they are not going to stop. They're like the Energizer Bunny. They just keep going and going and going. But you know what? We have a work cut out for us, but I think we can do it. And so, guys, that's all I have for you today. If you want to, you can go catch up on old episodes. Just go to justinmooreshow.com. Moore is spelled M-O-H-R. I also have my little Amazon widget there. You click on that little widget. Man, it takes you right to Amazon's homepage. Any goods you buy by going through that link, I get a small commission back. It costs you nothing extra. And also, join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom through my link. You know, learn the history you didn't learn in school, high school, college. There's so many great resources out there where you can learn, like Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom. And it's so cheap, too. Man, it's just the best investment you can make is in yourself. And by joining Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom, that's a smart move. And so, guys, that is all I have for you today. I'll talk with all you guys next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.